With this endless parade of distractions and political posturing and phony scandals, Washington's taken its eye off the ball. And I'm here to say this needs to stop.
With a trio of speeches over 2 days, President Obama trying to refocus the balance of his presidency on jobs and the economy, the middle class. The president, he returned to Knox College, that's in Galesburg, Illinois today, site of his first economic major speech as a U.S. Senator. 8 years ago, during a commencement address there, he defined his faith in government's ability to boost the middle class. Well, today, he said the same gap between rich and poor, the gap he spoke about in 2005, still must be reversed.
This growing inequality, not just of result, inequality of opportunity. This growing inequality, it's not just morally wrong, it's bad economics. Because when middle-class families have less to spend, guess what? Businesses have fewer consumers. When wealth concentrates at the very top, it can inflate unstable bubbles that threaten the economy.
Administration officials, they spend days hyping the remarks you just heard, but there were no new policy proposals. Instead, the president, he outlined what he called cornerstones of what it means to be America and be in the American middle class. More manufacturing jobs, investment in education, expanding home ownership, securing retirement. To do this, Mr. Obama said, Republicans, they have to put politics aside. For their part, Republican leaders in Congress, they denounced the speech even before the president delivered it, dismissing it as old news.
With all the buildup, you'd think the president was unveiling the next Bond film or something.
Americans aren't asking the question, where are the speeches? They're asking, where are the jobs?
Okay. You see recent polls out there in terms of the handling of the economy. The president south of the Mendoza line is saying politics is 45%, well, 51% disapprove, 45% approve, excuse me. That said, part of me was like, there almost is such a rooting for failure on the part of Republican leadership, Republicans overall. That to me was almost a more compelling soundbite I have today than what the president said. It's almost like they didn't want him to succeed. They didn't want to even lift a finger or listen to what he said to try to do something that we agree is a problem, where the middle of this country, let alone the bottom, but the middle of this country keeps getting farther and farther away from that American dream. And I don't know, maybe I've been doing this too long, but it just felt like, come on, really?
Richard,
really?
As my dad said when we moved from Westchester to Texas, guy down there used to say this all the time, all hat, no cattle. There's nothing under this thing. If you look at this, whether you want to say Republicans said it before the speech or after, it's like every other speech I've seen this guy give. With very few exceptions, he is a great orator. We all know that. But with very few exceptions, when he gives a speech, if you read the whole speech afterwards, you'd have to look for the nuggets of things that are true of what he's going to accomplish.
Okay, wait, Richard, before you get started, let me just hand this to you. Yeah, I want to go first here. I want to go, and then I'll turn to our cleanup hitter.
Go right ahead.
Explain this to me. When the Speaker of the House comes forward and say, judge our success by what we have rejected. Wait. Okay, I'm letting you.
Okay.
Judge us by not what accomplishments, by what we have rejected. That's the message to the American people?
Because there are times when you must stop things from happening.
Really?
Yes. You cannot just say, we're going to roll over.
So what's the accomplishment? So what's the accomplishment for the American people?
First off, the House has passed the budget every year. When the Senate just passed one. Dominic, you want to talk about the economy. How can they plan?
Now it's your turn, cleanup hitter. It's your turn.
This president said nothing today.
In the end, this is a contest of ideas, and that's why Obama blew away Romney last year, 2 years ago.
Agreed.
And that's why Obama may be at 45, Republicans are at 6. And the reason why is because the competing ideas are invest in infrastructure, human and economic, share the tax burden more equitably, and try to reduce income inequality. That's the rough position. The other position is cut spending and cut taxes, the tax burden on the wealthy. That's the competing paradigms. In that contest, Democrats are going to win every time.
See,
no
I disagree with you. I disagree only about one thing. Well, you said Obama blew Romney away in the war of ideas. I think the election ended up the way it did was actually because if we have it, because of when Mr. Romney said this, and I think it crystallized the second point.
47%.
Do we have it or not?
Of the people who will vote for the president no matter what. All right, there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they are victims, who believe that government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. That it's an entitlement, and the government should give it to them. And they will vote for this president no matter what.
Now, wait a second. Now, only because you can handle yourself. A lot of guys couldn't in this case, okay? But only because you could. To that point, whatever they said, and obviously the public didn't like that. I think it was a big part, like Richard said, is why I didn't get elected, okay? Romney didn't. Let's look at what's happened in the last couple weeks. They came out against keeping student loan rates down, and they allowed them to double. Now, they're going to work it out, but that happened. They cut food stamps. I can go down the litany here. Wait. But my point is, though, if they don't like, and the president was all, what'd you say, all hat, no cattle, okay? What's the other side's ideas?
They
stick it to the most vulnerable.
They passed the budget. They passed a budget that cut taxes for the wealthy, cut programs for the poor, cut programs for the middle class, made it harder to go to college, made it harder to buy a house. They have an ideology. It's called austerity.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that ideology is what is why they're going to fail.
Richard, if you make it so easy to buy the house, which is American dream, and we need to do that, right? And you increase it too much, what happens is what happened to the housing crisis when you start giving people money they can't afford it.
Who
number
said
one,
giving them money they can't afford?
You just talked about the housing. I'm telling you, if you don't have the right checks and balances,
stands for making it harder to responsibly buy a home.
To answer Richard's question, number one, there's no reason food stamps can't have its own up and down vote. Number one, I disagree with how the Republicans handled it. They should have had that vote first to answer that question so it couldn't be a charge. But that would have been a straightforward up and down vote to at least keep that going, number one. What was the other one you're talking about for the vote?
How about air traffic controllers?
The student loans, as you said, there's going to be a solution to it. What we want to do is figure out how do we pay for this. We have to have a solution long-term to pay for it.
Raise taxes on the rich.
We have to have a... Oh, that's the answer you always had, Richard. Even in Albany, you had that answer. You always want to raise. You and your brethren want to raise taxes. Is there a tax cut you ever agreed with? Is there ever a tax cut you agree with?
Yes, and that's not my position. So don't say it is. You asked the question about how you're wrong. But answer the question. I told you how to pay for the student loan programs and food stamps. I just explained that to you. You may not like that. But don't tell me there's no alternative on the table. It's not inevitable. It's a choice. And your party and the austerity wing and the Tea Party is going to bankrupt American middle-class families. It's got nothing to do with factions of the party. The basic Republican premise is government is too large, it's spending too much, and we have to keep taxes low to help grow the economy. If you look at the corporate tax rate... That worked really well under Bush. That really worked.
Richard, why do so many corporations keep their dollars overseas, like Apple? The reason is because we bring them over here, they are heavily taxed more than they are in other countries. Why do we, as the greatest country in the world, do something like that?
Because we invest. The most prosperous states in the United States, like New York, New Jersey, compared to Mississippi and Alabama, are high-tax states because we take the revenue and we invest it in schools
and they are tough to do business in. Every report will show you them at the bottom of the list as best place to do business.
But they're the wealthiest states. There are more businesses there. Why are there more
businesses? They're here, but they're not growing here. They're growing in the South where there's lower taxes. Why is South Carolina growing? Why is a manufacturer based down there? Why is BMW go to South Carolina and not upstate New York?
I want to pivot. When we come back, I want you, Obi, to explain to me some of the political decisions, forget the principles, some of the policy decisions. We talked a little bit about it, but even some more that we're seeing around the country here that have dominated headlines. Stay with us, everybody. Some strategy questions. We come back.